Hello everyone, welcome to Logic App Tutorials. In this video, we will see the different hosting options for consumption-based Logic App and standard Logic App, which also creates the basis for single tenant and multi-tenant Logic App. So we'll see what is single tenant versus multi-tenant Logic App. So I have this Logic App option over here, and first we'll create one basic consumption-based Logic Apps. I'll click on it here. I don't have any resource group as of now, so we'll just create new. Once you are done with this creating your resources, just remember to delete all the resources, otherwise it will incur a cost, unnecessary cost for you. Okay, and this is a region over here. So first we'll create the consumption based logic app. Region is East US. Enable log analytics, no. Looking for the classic consumption create experience, this is different option. Redundancy I am putting as disabled. Next, review. And this is some okay logic app name we didn't give, so demo uh, consumption LA. Okay, text review validating. At the same time, what we'll do is I'm just duplicating this tab and we will create one standard logic app also, just to analyze what is the different hosting plans can be available there. Okay, so again I'll go to logic app section, click on it, demo LA. Now let's wait for this to create so that it will create the resource group for us, which is the demo LA, and we can utilize same for the standard logic app. We'll just give a minute for this to get deployed. Okay, so our deployment is done. We'll go to the resource here and we'll see if the resource group and everything's in place. Yes, it is in place. So I'll just quickly refresh it so that it will load properly. And I'll refresh here. So our consumption logic app is here. I'll click on it here and I'll use the existing resource group. And here I will say demo standard LA. Okay. And we are going to choose the standard. Will publish method will be as a workflow. And here you see the workflow plan, so Windows plan. So this is the one difference. Okay, we need to select one by default plan over here, which is going to be app service plan. ASP means app service plan. So this is the one difference. So this is the basic hosting plan, we call it, for the standard logic app. Okay, so here the what is the host environment here is the, for standard logic app we say the host environment is, we call it as a single tenant Azure logic app. Okay, this host environment we'll call it as a single tenant logic app. We'll see more details on this. I'm just going to next storage. Your default Azure storage will use some storage account is going to create. Monitoring, enable public access. Okay, otherwise you'll not be able to access it over the internet. Monitoring, text, review and create. So this is also going to create. So meanwhile git create, let's jump into the consumption based logic app. So if you see this consumption based logic app, we didn't give any kind of plan over there when we created it. And let's first quickly create this some simple steps over here. In this consumption based logic app, we'll create some trigger when an HTTP received, and I'll say just give any response back. Take some time to load. Basically we create here a request response. Okay, so response, and we'll just say receive request and processed. Okay, just some dummy message I am putting. I just click on save. So now if we go to the overview, you see there is no any app service plan or nothing is deployed over here. It is directly the logic app without any kind of plan over there. What it means its host environment is multi-tenant logic apps, which means this process, when this logic app gets triggered, so it can utilize compute or storage or network of any of the tenant present over there in Azure Active Directory. So that's why we call it as a multi-tenant. Okay, it can share the processes across the tenant, so that's why we call it as a multi-tenant. Okay, and now if we come to the standard logic app, it's still validating. Okay, so let's see some of the other options over here. What are the other options we can see here? Okay, so here we see that this one logic app, right? If you see the designer, this one logic app has only one workflow. It cannot have more than one workflow. So this workflow is tightly coupled with this logic app only. Okay, I think it's taking some time, so let's just one more time give it a try. Okay, now it validated. I click on create over here. Okay, so here this is tied with the one particular workflow. And here what will happen in this multi-tenant host environment, when we select for consumption based logic app, the data is replicated in the pair region. What it means, when we create or when we run this request, it will have some inputs, outputs. So definitely it is storing somewhere, right? So it is storing in the region where we have deployed this logic app. So it replicates those data corresponding to that region. For example, this logic app is deployed in East US region. So the data will be replicated in its corresponding pair region for consumption based multi-tenant logic app. Now, in consumption based logic app, we have another host environment which we know as ISC, which is nothing but the integration service environment. Okay, but maybe you are aware about this, like since last November 2022, the creation of ISC has been removed from the Microsoft. We cannot go ahead and create the integration service environment over there. And starting from 31st August 2024, this option is going to retire completely from the Azure portal. That's why they come up with the standard logic app, which gives more benefit over the IC. But the point here is there was another hosting option for the consumption based logic app, which was the ISC. So if we could have created that ISC, but right now if you see, let me try to create a resource here, and let's say integration service environment. Okay, if I come here, I'm not sure if I will even see that integration service environment is there. So let's create it. Integration service environment is now deprecated for the new customers and will retire on 31st August 2024 for all customers. Standard is a recommended replacement. Okay, so we cannot create it because it's now deprecated. Okay, so if we could have created, then what would happen here is, in this all this consumption based logic app, we can put all them inside that ISC. So then our hosting plan became the ISC. So this is the second option for the consumption based logic app. Now let's see if our standard logic app is created. Yes, it is created. So now for standard logic app, so this time I just created this standard logic app. And if you remember what I have given just this app service plan. Okay, so when we just give this app service plan and create this standard logic app, then this is called as a single tenant Azure logic app. This is the host environment for this standard logic app. Okay, and what does it mean? It means that a single logic app, it can share the resources, or if we talk about the it's a compute resources, storage or networking, then whatever inside this logic app workflow, inside this logic app standard, whatever workflows we have, they will share the same processing unit. They cannot share any of the compute service which is out of scope this logic app standard or out of this app service plan. You can think out of this app service plan is like some virtual machine. Okay, so all of your logic app, the standard logic app and workflows inside this will share the processes from this app service plan only, so that we get some control over here. It cannot run anywhere across the Azure Active Directory tenant or multi-tenant. So that's why we call it as a single tenant logic app. Okay, now there is another option here in terms of hosting plan, wh- which we call it as app service environment. Okay, instead of IAC, which is now deprecated, now the new thing come is like ASE, which is the app service environment. Okay, so we have a lot of benefits in this app service environment. So let's see if I can go ahead. So you see this app service environments are there. I can go ahead and I can create it. So we'll create this app service environment later in this video, but now you got some idea like what are the different hosting plans available. What were available for consumption based logic app? One is the without any plan, so that was the consumption based logic app in multi-tenant environment. Okay, and the other one is the ISC, where the host environment was ISC. And for standard logic app, one is without app service environment, which we simply call it as a single tenant host environment is single tenant Azure logic app, and one is with app service environment. So we can call it as a host environment as app service environments. And what we can do is once we create this app service environment, we can associate all of this our standard logic apps inside that app service environment. Okay, so one app service environment can have multiple standard logic apps, and one standard logic app can have multiple workflows. So this is how the structure comes. So in our next video, we will see the differences between the single tenant host environment and AAC host environment. What are the benefits? Now, and also we'll see what were the benefits in IAC, so that we can compare like why Microsoft came with this new sort of standard logic app instead of the consumption based logic app with IC environment. So thank you for watching. Please provide your feedback in the comments. We'll meet soon in our next video. Thank you.